How are y'all liking the season so far? How did you like last episode? Did everybody see it? No, I think so. Cool, right?
Don't ruin it for me. I haven't seen it yet.
Shh, ixnay. We're fighting for more like that. We thought it was so cool. Not just because of the time off. Just kidding. It was a lot of fun to film.
1 a year.
Fun sounds. Yeah, 1 a year, maybe a two for something.
It was unique because there were no cameras.
That's right.
There was no camera crew. That was the funniest thing is that because our camera crew, they were literally walking around going, I don't know what to do.
Probably by the last day, they were walking around kind of like just making their presence known, like the kids who didn't want to be ignored. They were like, we still work here. This is...
Well, Dave, our dolly grip, who self-explanatory. He moves the dolly, and but he's part of the grip crew. Thank you.
It's still morning where we come from.
It is. He's generally part of. I mean, he's kind of considered part of the camera crew. You've got your A camera operator, Brad. You've got your focus puller, Matt. You've got your A camera assistants, Jose, Peter, and then you've got your dolly grip, and his name's Dave. And Dave now doesn't have a dolly or a camera to push around because it's all handheld by the actors. So he walks up to me and he's like, they gave me a radio. I'm freaking out. I don't want anybody to call me. He'd do some work. He's lugging sandbags now and apple boxes, and he's like, this sucks.
Totally disgruntled.
Yeah.
Everybody's sitting there like just reading trivia on their phones, like, letting actors operate the cameras. This sucks. But it was fun. Glad y'all liked it. How was the bunch band? Who met DJ? We love DJ. He's good. Good. Keep asking for him back because we want him back, and we know he's doing a show right now in LA. But oh, we didn't get around to who's a first timer.
Right.
Nice. Welcome, guys. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, you don't get to go home this time. What happened this time?
Hurricane.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Franken Perfect Storm. I've seen like Frankenstorm on one channel, the Perfect Storm on another channel. What's that? I don't know. Franken Perfect? Perfectin' Frank? Who lives on Superstorm? That's the other channel. Who lives on the East Coast? That's... Wow.
So, Chicago for the next few days. Too cold?
Too cold.
She's like, nope, Hawaii.
I'm going back to 100-mile-an-hour winds because it's too cold.
She's like, there's a lot of flights that go out of this airport. We can go anywhere we want.
That's right. Does anybody know if their flights are already canceled?
Yes.
No kidding.
All day today and all day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hotel's fully booked.
There's a...
Is it really?
There's a place, I was kind of laughing to myself. I turned on CNN or Headline News, something like that this morning. And there was an anchor there, and it said, like, kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, or something devil. I was like, of course they're gonna go to like the place called Devil to go, there's a storm, let's go to Devil something, and just put it up and say Devil, North Carolina. Kind of chuckled to myself. Well, I hope everybody's family and friends are okay. It's really hot in Texas where I'm from right now. There's an Austin Comic-Con going on. Oh, so we're walking home yesterday from dinner, and we see a guy sitting there talking on the phone. Why didn't we tell him that? I didn't even think about it. We just finished dinner. We're walking home, and I go, Jason? And Jensen kind of turns around, and it's Jason Gedrick, and he's sitting there, our friend from Usual Suspects. Everybody remember Usual Suspects, Jason Gedrick? Yeah, so he's a Chicago boy, so he was sitting there. Why don't we tell him to come over?
What was funny though is I looked right. He was standing on the street on the phone. He was actually talking to his son outside a hotel, and I looked right at him. He and I made contact, and just kept walking. And then Jared was walking behind me, and he double took and walked a few feet. And he was like, and he slapped me. He's like, dude, I think that's Jason Gedrick. I was like, what? And my belly's full of pasta at this point. I'm
And
like,
Jensen's like, I just gave him a dirty look.
and so he goes, he's like, Jason? And Kendrick literally does it. And of all people, this one, he's like,
And I've got a baby attached to me.
and it took Jason a few seconds. He was like, and Jared's like, Jerry! And then he realized,
Oh, geez.
or maybe he didn't. Maybe he just was like, oh, yeah. And as soon as he walked away, he's like, hey, son, yeah, I have no idea who those guys are.
I just got accosted by a guy with a baby on his chest. Feet dangling everywhere.
Yeah, but he's from here. Jason's actually from Chicago. I guess he was back home visiting some family. So. Cool.
On the phone with Poquito son. All right, well, we've rambled on. Yes, you have had your hand up for God knows how.
Can you just clarify, not that I don't trust Misha, but
No, I don't trust Misha. Yes, that's true. Next. We also don't trust Misha, to clarify.
the wrestling story.
Wait, what?
Who?
He claims that never happens.
Wrestling.
In Toronto. What's happening?
What?
Doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't ring a bell.
I can't seem to recall anything. But don't hug me really hard on my left side today. The worst injury I've had, I fell victim to being around pink eye. So, so no touching my eye today.
I don't want to know that, man.
Well, I feel like it's
Get back to
necessary.
the wrestling story. That's much better. And just to clarify, it's fight training. Misha just doesn't fight very often on screen, and he doesn't understand how to properly protect yourself.
Which is why you got the roper.
Which is what? Somebody had to jump in and save him, and I missed. That's enough of that.
Misha, yes.
Speaking of fighting, so I do martial arts, and I heard Ty Olson does MMA. He's been showing you guys any moves yet, and what's it like to work with him?
You know who does MMA quite a bit, actually, is Jensen stand-in.
Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah, so he shows some moves. We know a few things. We were trying to teach Misha. Ty's a tough cookie. I haven't worked with him as much. I don't know if he and Jensen kind of...
Yeah, no, he definitely trains, and he's a big fan of that sport. So he and I talk about it a lot and stuff, and I know that he is. I think he does do a little bit of fighting and stuff, but just strictly training, not competitive.
Right.
He actually showed me a picture the other day of a buddy of his who were wrestling. Or fight training, as we like to call it, and he got him in a Kimura, which is a hold, and actually snapped his arm, which is pretty much close to what happened to Misha. It just wasn't a clean break. No, but this guy, I mean, then they had to take him to the emergency room, and of course Ty felt horrible, and I'm like, okay, well let's not do that ever. But yeah, no, Ty's, and then working with, I hope you guys like him, because I really enjoy working with him. He's a great actor, he's a really good guy, and his character is really cool. I think Benny's a great addition this year, for many reasons. I think, just what it does to the brothers, and the kind of the wrench that it throws in the system, but also just adding some color is cool. Yeah, we're happy to have him. I hope you get to meet him soon. I think is he signed? Probably scheduled to come to one of these.
New Jersey.
What's that?
Is he
New Jersey.
New Jersey?
Right.
Cool.
I guess he's in.
Yeah. No, he's a good guy. You like him. And don't let that accent fool you. He's actually from Canada.
We, as you were talking, I came to realize we actually have a pretty tough guest of cast character. Like Pellegrino has been a fighter for a long time.
Yeah, he's a boxer.
Even the pretty one, Cohen. Pellegrino was a kickboxer. Even Matt is a big boxer. We have Ty. Everybody but Misha, basically. Richard can dance.
We should have like a sporting.
Kick Misha's ass.
Like a sporting tournament with our cast versus like the cast of Gilmore Girls.
Gossip Girl. Gossip. You would say Gossip Girl.
Oh, that's what I meant to say. Yeah.
Way in the back.
Yesterday in the panel, Jeff said he wanted to come back home with you guys, and then maybe we should ask if you guys can get on there.
Hey, we have been on that. She was just saying basically Jim would love to come back. And we love Jim obviously too, and we've tried. I know they would love to find a way to work him in without cheapening it. In my opinion, and it pains me to say this, but it was such a wonderful exit that it hate to be like, and here I am. I don't know if some of you probably haven't heard, and I've shared this before with others, but Death's Door is probably my favorite episode of Supernatural. Of all time. Yeah, it really is. No, I just think it was such a heart-wrenching, like I feel like
It's heartbreaking. I mean, you're losing a very beloved character, which I think is unfortunately what makes really good television.
Right. So I think it'd be tough to be like Darth Vader coming back and going like, "Hey, Luke, let's throw the ball, son." You know,
Just kidding, I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back. So it was just such an iconic, especially for Supernatural.
But that being said, because of the nature of the show, we do ask the question, and unfortunately, he and I weren't hired to make those kind of creative decisions. But when asked, when we do ask the writers or the showrunners, it's we kind of get the same universal answer as, well, you're never really dead on Supernatural. So with that said, there's always a possibility. I think it's really just driven by story and what makes sense for the storyline. And if it makes sense to bring, Bobby back, then I'm sure they'll find a way to do that. If not, then we'll keep our fingers crossed.
You could always dream about it.
We could always what?
Dream about it.
Flashback? Yeah, dreams.
I'd really rather not dream about it. Let me clarify. I love Jim. I don't want to. No more dreaming of Jim. Let's go back over here. Yes. Both. Simultaneously and unison.
So I have a question I've been wondering. Every time we see the tattoos, and I know we all love seeing the tattoos, I always glance and think, do they make you guys wax or something before they
Yes, we go to the wax bar. That's a Mancillion. You think I'm kidding? That's a real thing. I'm trying to convince Cliff to do it.
Come on, Cliff, get the Manzillion.
Cliff's actually out of the room. He just left. No.
Well, the part of the body it's on
they
is
don't.
not really a hairy part. It's not like it's on our head, So we don't. You know what? They did though. Initially, that's funny. That's actually a question that I've been asked. So for the first couple seasons, they would have us whenever we were going to be shirtless. They would have us shave for whatever reason. I think when it was WB or something, they were like, "Men don't have hair." Luckily, I think maybe season 4 or something. Finally, Bob Singer was like, "Listen, y'all are men. Y'all can have some chest hair." Like, woohoo! So now there's no more shaving of the chest, which always feels kind of, for those who shave chests, I'm not judging, but for me it feels odd.
I fortunately or unfortunately don't really have chest hair.
Prove it!
Look at Spice Girls.
That's pretty good. My favorite was, I'm from the Show Me State.
From the Show Me State. Yeah, no, I literally maybe have 3 or 4 that I'm very proud of.
He's named them. Oh, Misha. Leave Jim alone. No, go ahead, sorry.
I'm always mystified by the popularity of shows like House or even Seinfeld that have completely
likable petty characters.
Yeah.
Sam and Dean may not be perfect role models, but they're likable, they're accessible, and do you ever find yourself wondering if this is the episode or the season that the writers decide that you're going to be total dicks? You have to rely on your personal charm to make the characters likable, or?
I think the French Connection was kind of like that. Like, hopefully people don't think we're really like this, like in our trailers and stuff. Or French Mistake, rather.
Isn't Dean a total dick normally? I've been trying to make him likable for the past 8 years.
And vulnerability and likability. So, if you're going to have to rely on just that, because the writers decide you're going to be even less likable, I don't know. Do you ever wonder about that?
I do. I find myself sometimes, and Genevieve brought this up yesterday because there's a Supernatural marathon going on right now. That's how excited I am. No, and the episode was on with the introduction of Rob Benedict, and there's a scene where Castiel farts for a real long time. And I was like, guys, are we a show about fart jokes now? And I remember, and Jen, I've completely forgotten, but remember there's a scene where where Sam, Dean, and Castiel are sitting, and all of a sudden it's like, and we're all looking at each other, and then Misha goes, that wasn't me. I think I remember both of us, and I just remembered it because Jen was like, oh yeah, didn't you not want to do that? I was like, yeah, that's right. I didn't want to make it about a fart joke. And we just had a funny conversation with Bob Singer the other day. We talked about, there was an episode which was House of the Holy and then Angels and then Touched, where we were like, hey guys, are we really gonna bring angels into the show? What's going on? Fast forward to season 8, it's like angels here and demons there and everything. But there have been a few times where you kind of, as Jensen touched on earlier, you kind of remind yourself, oh yeah, I guess I'm an actor. I guess I'm telling the story, and though I don't always agree with it, that I don't always see eye to eye with what the writers maybe say, I'm telling the story. So it's neat to be asked and hired to help somebody else tell their story. And obviously, we've all become a big part of the story now, but I certainly do wonder sometimes and I think the dick jokes last year got, at certain times, yeah. I don't know, at certain times last year I was like, man, this isn't American Pie, we don't need to do that. Our fans are more intelligent than that. But we cut a few, and it made the ones that were still there hopefully funny, not overbearing. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Jensen, would you like? There's a two-hander right there.
Look. Hi.
I have to work, so I want to ask the question now. The episode.
Need a ride?
You going back to the Superstorm?
No, I'm going Vegas.
Is that a girl?
Yeah, you are. Okay, sorry.
This last episode, I enjoyed it a lot. Online, I don't know if you pay attention to any of that. There were some people who really did not enjoy it. And then there were some people who was interesting who said they hated it the first time. They went back and watched it the second and third time and said, oh, okay, no, it was actually a really good episode. But it was kind of controversial. Because it wasn't enough for you.
Bob Singer's directing the episode that we're filming right now, and he and I had a small conversation about this. Because I guess, him being the executive producer, he pays attention to some of the feedback that people express online, and obviously there was some mixed feelings about last week's episode. And in his very charming New York manner, he was telling me that there was this one review said, this was a horrible episode, and I just don't know if I can watch the show anymore. And Bob was like, oh, I'm sorry for providing 7.5 years of entertainment for you to have it all hinged on one episode. Please forgive us. And, then he kind of stomped away in a huff, like only Bob can. Here's the deal. Look, we've done how many? 160 episodes? We've done 160 episodes. Sometimes you gotta take chances and think outside the box, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it pleases some people, but sometimes you can't please everybody all the time. Is kind of what I'm saying.
I got a huge argument with my my brother-in-law about it, because he didn't like it and I liked it.
Right.
And at the end of the argument, my brother-in-law said, you know what? Out of 8 years, it's the one episode I didn't like.
Right.
I said, okay, you know what?
But you can also look, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. You can also look at it as, you know what, it sparked a conversation. It's a conversation piece now. You know, you guys can have actual opposing opinions about an episode and discuss it. And that's, you know, for what that's worth, I apologize. But, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, these, you know, the writers have written a lot of really, really wonderful material. And I mean, I like the episode, you know, personally, but you're not going to please everybody every time. And I just, you know, I hope for those that didn't like it, you know, they give us a little leeway. You know, we got to take chances every now and again. If we just play it safe, I think that's a bigger mistake.
I think it's worked more often than not. I think doing those crazy episodes, whether it's changing channels or French Mistake or The Real Ghostbusters or something where somebody who is a fan of a normal television show, you're like, wait, they did an episode about what? It has more often than not, really worked. And, you know, maybe there's a place in the future for something like Bitten, not a full episode of it, but a way to tell a certain story. I actually haven't seen it yet myself. I was playing with Thomas. Changing a diaper. I wasn't even doing that to elicit an awe, but it really isn't that sweet. He was like covered in poop. But I'm excited to watch it. I, Jared, am a fan of the more unique episodes. I feel like I can watch it as an audience member, as opposed to watch it kind of critiquing myself or remembering what my thought process was, shooting it or preparing for it, or when we were shooting, something happened with raining, whatever it is. I feel like I can watch it as a fan of the show, which is fun, because usually it takes me a while to have to go back and rewatch the episodes. Thank you. I'm gonna go way in the back. Yes, you. I guess not that way in the back.
Actually, a friend of mine was at your HQ panel and during the summer, and he asked a question I wanted to ask. And so I
How dare you?
now, he was looking for a question, but I told him I would ask Jensen the same question. And that was is there any kind of backstory in your head as far as being concerned? Like, do you have anything that you know about being that we don't when you're playing?
Like any kind of a character background kind of thing that I use that isn't written or portrayed on camera?
Yeah,
No. I'm not that actor. I don't sit down and write a whole biography about my character just to do an Nabisco commercial. I've done that. When I was young and stupid. You know, it's a good question, and I do have friends, and I know of actors that do that will sit down and they will write a character biography about someone they're going to play, and even if they just have to make everything up, which generally they do because it's not in the script, but it gives them a better sense of how they want to. R2? This is the supernatural connection.
You've been R2D2.
And for some people that works. I mean, I don't think there's a kind of a formula or a rhyme and reason to be an actor. I think everybody kind of has their own way of doing it. Fortunately enough for me in playing Dean is I've had, like I said, 160 episodes of backstory to go off of. From the pilot, he was very well explained. I had a very kind of not a total clear understanding of who he was, but I had a very good understanding of who this character was, and I used kind of my experiences in my own life and observations of other people that I knew or friends that I had, and I kind of collectively made that character. And the longer the show went on, the more of a character he became. And so, yeah, I don't know if there's any one thing that I kind of utilize or go to. I go to previous episodes. If I need to we had a new director. We had a couple new directors this season. And one of the directors, I won't get into the names or any of the details, but he came up to me and he gave me this kind of lofty idea that he had that he wanted me to do in the scene. And I just kind of looked at him and I'm like, Dean wouldn't do that. And he kind of looked at me stunned, like, you know, but I'm your director and I'm telling you what to do, and you're my actor. And I'm like, listen, pal. You know, I know Dean. We're pretty tight.
I was like, I know him too.
And that's just not how that's not how he would handle that situation. That's not how he would react. And I have 160 episodes to base that on. So, you know, I think Jared and I have a very clear understanding of these characters just because of the length of time we've spent with them. But very good question.
Like the length of time y'all have spent with them.
Yes, yes. And we're also very protective of these characters, which I'm sure you guys can appreciate. Yes.
And the follow-up question to what you were saying.
Yep.
I want to know why Dean is so fascinated with soap operas, no matter what the language. When I saw his expression when he's watching the soap opera in Spanish, and the girl next door, it's a thing of beauty.
Are you sure?
He spoke Spanish.
That's right, sure.
You know, I wish I had a better answer other than the writers literally sit in the room and they're like, okay, what kind of random thing can we think of now? And they love to throw Dean under the bus a lot of times with
Busty Asian beauty.
Vibrating beds, the magic fingers. Yeah, Dean generally gets the, you know, has to wear the brunt end of the writer's inside jokes. And a lot of times I'll have to call him up and be like, what? Why is he doing this? What am I doing? Why do you want me to? Okay, all right. You know, and sometimes, you know, I'll get an email from the writer and be like, hey, can you just do it for me, please? Because it's really funny to me. I'm like, okay, whatever you say.
I have one of those, oh gosh, I can't say it yet, but I have one of those, there was a line and I changed it because I didn't want to say it. And then I go to the ADR truck, which is where we do our automated dialogue replacement, basically, if there's a plane flying over, or if it's a little bit unclear, or somebody's phone does an R2D2 thing while we're... Then we go replace the line, and I go in to do my replacement for an episode that's, I think, in 2 weeks, and I see that it has the original line again, and it says, per Bob, please. So
That's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
forgive me.
you changed it.
I did.
During the shooting.
I changed it during the
Because I
shooting.
remember you came up to me, you're like, I'm not saying this. I'm like, I wouldn't.
And so I didn't. But it was Guy's episode. It was during Vancouver Con. So when y'all see Guy's episode and there's a strange line, Sam's by himself talking to his computer. Not like that. But just know that when Sam's talking to his computer in Guy Norman B's episode, in this next episode, the line that I had to say, I really don't want to say it. Maybe they'll use the original one, but Bob Singer was like, dude, come on. So I did it, begrudgingly. But you know what, you had your hand up for so long, I don't want to give you a chance.
Obviously, nobody here wants the show to ever end, but ideally, when it does, what would each of you like to be next professionally?
Good question. You know, it will be sad, you know, when the show comes to an end, but you know, it will eventually. And I don't know. I'd probably take a little time off and
Have babies.
remind my wife who I am. But then I think ultimately it's you know, unfortunately, even though we've been working and been very successful with this show, and this has been very good to us, you know, Jared and I kind of fly under the radar a little bit when it comes to Hollywood. You know, there's the studio people and the casting directors and stuff, they know of us. But because we've literally been MIA for, you know, the better part of a decade, we kind of, you know, are kind of put in the back burner a bit. So kind of reintroducing ourselves would I'm sure be, you know, the first bit of business, and then it's just kind of what comes down the line. I mean, unfortunately, we are successful. We're not accessible to the point in our business to where we can just move to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and just pick and choose any script that we want because we're Harrison Ford. You know, we actually would have to go and take meetings and stuff. So, you know, whether it be another television series, whether it be, you know, doing some features, I don't know. You know, I really like TV. I like the medium. You know, with TV, it's kind of, you get time to really develop characters, given that it's a successful show and you get the time to do it, and they don't cancel you after 3 episodes. You know, but with a movie, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end that is already in sight before you even start the project. So there's some nice benefits to that too, the totality of it all, having it all right there and knowing what you're going to do with it. But I don't know, I like TV. I've made my living in TV, and it's something I'm very comfortable with. I wouldn't mind trying to direct a little bit more, and I don't know, or you know what, maybe we'll both just say screw it, and he and I'll just open a bar somewhere.
I want to be a princess. I'm just kidding. You know what? I like Jensen. I love my life and my career as a television person. But for my part, I would love to go buckle down in Austin for a little bit with family. I'd love to work in Austin, and I'd love to maybe do movies. And I realize, like Jensen said, we're not Harrison Ford. We're not going to be given a bunch of trilogies on our desk and go like, hey, make them when you want. But I would love to be able to, instead of work 9.5 months and have off for 2 months, I'd love to kind of do 4-month stretches and spend time with family, and 4-month stretches, spend time with family. So we'll see what happens, but I wouldn't mind opening a bar. Winchester's. On that note, there's a big bald man staring at us. Is that me?
I think we gotta go. All right, we've got a lot to do today, and we're looking forward to it.
Thanks for coming out, guys.
So thanks for everybody for being here. We'll see you guys in a little bit.